local and even regional event. But through you, it is really an international event. I would just like to highlight a few things regarding the events of today. First, when the Holy Father went to the presidential residence, no, one thing that was striking was his attention, the attention that he paid not only to the known leaders of the nation and the diplomatic corps, he paid great attention even to the ordinary government employees who lined up and who were also inside the palace. Again, it is true to form, very much the style, the evangelical, the pastoral approach of Pope Francis to not only to tremble before the powers that be, but to tremble more before the simple and the humble. And in his speech, no, he highlighted some things that are, for me, quite significant. He affirmed, of course, the need for integrity in public life, in public service, and as a cultural element. This is important, for I think, this is my thinking, integrity cannot just be legislated. It has to be imbibed by individuals and be made part of the family tradition, something that must be transmitted by all families. The whole of society cannot be a society of integrity, of truthfulness, of justice, unless those values are assimilated and passed on in the families. And he also singled out the role of the Philippines in Asia, the role of the Philippines in spreading these values to Asia. And as a pastor, I really love that. Then we moved to the Manila Cathedral, where he celebrated his first Mass here in the Philippines. And it was a Mass that was intended primarily for his encounter with some bishops and religious men and women and the ordained. I think it was an opportunity for the Holy Father to remind the leaders of the church in the Philippines about things that he has already been talking about, like the centrality of the poor. And I love the way he put it. If we distance ourselves from the poor, if we forget the poor, then we might fail to understand the gospel message. So, if I may use my own term, this is not, you cannot find this in the text. I have not seen the text of the homily of the Pope myself. But I think he is saying that our commitment to the poor, our immersion with the poor, provides a hermeneutical key. No, it's a key to understanding the whole message of Jesus and the gospel. And it is a good reminder. For me, it can summarize the whole homily, and all the invitation to become close to the poor, everything. It all serves the mission of the priest and the religious in being proclaimers of the word. And then this was not part of the official program, but after the Eucharistic celebration in the Manila Cathedral, we just crossed the street to a shelter for street children called Tulay ng Kabataan. It means a bridge, a bridge of the youth. It's run by a foundation, and street children, and most of them victims of different types of abuse, they are sheltered there, And in that house, girls are sheltered. The foundation has other houses for, God bless you, salute. No, I heard that. And, who's that? You, ma'am, yes. You need vitamin C. Where was I? Yeah, oh, they have a shelter for girls near the cathedral, but they also have other shelters, for boys, etc. And they have other small centers spread out in different informal settler communities. And it was a beautiful, beautiful encounter. You could see the Holy Father in his elements. I was translating for him because some of the children tried to tell a bit of their stories, and you could see the attentiveness of the Pope, and you could see his eyes even starting to. Wow! Why am I? Why am I dramatizing it? You see his eyes getting cloudy and beginning to fill with tears, and you could see he was trying to show his affection to the children, and at the same time trying to fathom this deep wounds and pain. And when the children started coming to him to touch him, he whispered to me, "You see." You could see the history already, the lack of human touch, how they miss the touch from a parent. And so he obliged, he allowed them. And then the children started singing. And we asked the Holy Father if he wanted to say a few words. At first he said, no, just a blessing. But he could not control himself. So he said something. I translated for him. He assured the children that they are loved by God. God is with them. And that they should not forget that. And he reversed it. Is God absent in your lives? And they said, no. Oh, so he said, so you understood. And then he blessed them. Some children presented gifts to him. It was really a moving encounter. And then he went back to the nunciature for a much-needed rest. And this afternoon, the encounter with the families. Again, you could see he was in his elements. He even asked Monsignor Miles to translate for him, because he wanted to add a few more things, which were not in the text. And he affirmed the value of the family and the obligation, the mission of the church to preserve the family. He referred to what he called some ideological colonialism that seems to destroy the value of the family. Then I got lost a bit, but I heard materialism and those things. So ideological forms of colonialism. And then he referred to Pope Paul VI. The courage of Paul VI. And, but it was a very nuanced presentation of the Holy Father. In fact, after the speech, I told him it was a stroke of genius, which is, again, what Pope Francis is trying to do. He affirmed the teaching of Paul VI regarding the openness of the family to life, the sanctity of the family, but then he reminded all of us too that Pope Paul VI was very sensitive to particular cases. Okay? So the attentiveness to particular cases while remaining faithful to the tradition. And he had a lot of questions of what are they saying, and who are these children that were coming to him. And he was just energized. And then coming back to the nunciature, when he saw the crowds again, he said, wow, the Filipinos are energetic. You don't get tired. I said, well, we are youthful. And he said, that's true. He said, there is a promise there. No. The future of the church is here in Asia. I saw it in Sri Lanka, the youthfulness of the church, the future is here. And I don't know whether I'm the one who's supposed to say it. Maybe I close there, and the continuation is with Father Lombardi.
Yes, thank you, Eminence. I think that you have said all what is really important of today. I have not very much to add, but I also try to give my perspective. For me, it is clear that this day is a continuous growth, because also the participation, the emotion of the Pope is growing. From the more formal, important, obviously, but more formal meeting in the morning in the presidential palace, to the Mass with the companion in the service, more familiar and spontaneous, to the moment of the meeting with the families, in which you have really experienced Pope Francis as pastor in his spontaneity and enthusiasm, and in his spontaneous spirit of being happy to be with the people, with a very easy communication with them. You have begun to see the true and best Pope Francis, I think, this evening during the meeting of the families. And in this sense, it is very promising also for the next 2 days, because if he is already at the top of his communication, then he will do still very much with your enthusiastic people. This was the first observation. A little information that I can add about the first meeting in the presidential palace, little particular, but with a certain significance. The gift that the president has done to the Pope is a wooden Madonna done with the wood of a tree that was destroyed by the typhoon. And then in this sense is a concrete sign, religious sign, that is connected also with the experience of the typhoon and the suffering of the people here. About the speech to the president is a very rich and clear text you have read, and I don't need to add something, but is substantial about all the points of the justice in the society, engagement for the right of the people, participation in the society, these inequalities to eliminate, and the fight against the corruption, as said the Cardinal before. This is very intense, and there are many, many elements that you can read very well. And in the speech in the cathedral also, the Pope came back with a very strong accent about the problem of the poor, of the inequalities. He has said twice, I think, scandalous inequalities. This is a very strong way to express himself. And as the Cardinal has said, this accent on the poor is coming again and again. You can learn with the time to understand better what is the point that the Pope feels more profound, and that is exactly a phrase that was added by him to the text that was given you in, with embargo. And the phrase is exactly the poor. The poor are at the center of the gospel. are at heart of the gospel. If we take away the poor from the gospel, we cannot understand the whole message of Jesus Christ. This is added by the Pope during the homily explicitly, and he had asked his interpreter to help him to say this correctly in English, because he desired to say explicitly this message. But in the in the homily, you had also some other important expression like this, the challenge of proclaiming the radicalism of the gospel in a society which has grown comfortable with social exclusion, polarization, and scandalous inequality. I found this a very strong message for the confrere in the spiritual ministry. And also the appreciation for the Filipinos. This is important. The Pope begins to say many times his appreciation for the Filipino people. And during the homily he said, Filipinos everywhere are known for their love of God, their fervent piety, and their warm devotion to Our Lady and her Rosary. And he has repeated this twice. This is also a sign that is important for him to say this about the values of the Filipinos and of the religiosity of the Filipinos. And this evening, we have come late because the Pope is doing another thing, that is a meeting in the Nunciature with 40 Jesuits. He is a Jesuit, and then he desired normally to have a meeting with the Jesuit of the place. And then there are 40 Jesuits in the Nunciature now, and he was talking with them. They said, we are 40 like the 40 elephants in Sri Lanka. And the Pope said, yes, but the 40 elephants were dressed in a very solemn way. You are more normal, in any case. But the first question that was posed by the Jesuit to the Pope was, what do you think about the Filipinos? And he said, I don't know many Filipinos, but I have met them, in particular in Rome, more than in Argentinian. And I have the impression that they have a natural dignity, more than other people. Maybe that the profound evangelization that I have received during centuries has given them a profound spirituality and dignity. This was a very deep appreciation that he had demonstrated. And also, he appreciated the enthusiasm they show in the children and the young, the many young people. Well, after that, surely a very moving moment was the encounter with the children of the street of this foundation. That is maybe that the Cardinal can explain us. Tulay ng Kabataan. What is this? What means?
Tulay ng Kabataan means Ponte de Giovani. Is a bridge of the youth, or for the youth.
The name of the foundation that organizes these houses for the street children is Tulay ng Kabataan, that is a bridge for the young people.
So it's a sort of the foundation wants to provide a sort of bridge so that these young people could walk, to another life, and they can stay in the house for as long as they're studying. So they provide shelter and education.
Yes, the little house where the Pope was hosts. Now I have heard 20 girls. But the foundation has here in Manila 320 street children altogether. And this growing, obviously, this very important initiative. And the Pope has recalled this during the speech to the families. You have noted this, maybe a little observation. I was very touched today in meeting the street children in Manila. Well, about the meetings with the families, it was fantastic, I think. It was really the spontaneous expression of our Pope. I have appreciated very much the organization of this as an observer, external observer. And the families that were giving witnesses were very touching witnesses, obviously, very well chosen, also the deaf and the experience of the immigration and so on. And you have noted maybe that the first message to the Pope was given by a group, a family. Also the intention was given by groups, a family together that were given the intention. And the first had an old lady in the middle on the wheelchair, is of the process of the synod. Yes. For the family, and the preparation of the World Day of the Family has a very important place, I think. Also with the two points that the Cardinal has already said, the value of the teaching of Paul VI and the very strong polemic against the ideologies that tended to destroy or to corrupt the family. And the Pope has had a very strong expression, as he said, we were able to say no to the colonization, political colonization. We have to say no also to the ideological colonization that is against our vision of the family. Well, in any case, I think I have said enough, and there is time for your question, in particular for the Cardinal.
No, for Father Lombardi.
Yeah. So before we proceed to the question and answer portion, I understand that we're connected to the International Media Center. I just wish that we could see them here in the monitors. But, oh yes, they're there. So how are you doing? Are you there?
Yes, of course, Edwin. Good evening.
Okay.
Good evening, Your Eminence. Father Lombardi and Father Kilong we're ready to ask the questions, should you give us the opportunity.
Okay.
Yes, Edwin.
Okay, so this is what we'll do to put some order. We'll first open the floor to our colleagues here in the Diamond Hotel. Kindly please state your name and the network that you represent. So who would like to ask the first question? Yes.
Good evening. John Neri from the Inquirer. In his homily at the cathedral, Pope Francis once again spoke about the need for the church to examine its conscience, to acknowledge its failures and sins. 2 hours before that, the President of the Philippines gave a controversial statement criticizing some members of the Philippine church as having suddenly turned silent in the face of the previous government's abuses. Now, this criticism has, I think, been criticized itself as tone deaf on social media. But I wanted to ask 2 quick questions, one for Father Lombardi and the other one for His Eminence. Father Lombardi, is this an example of truth speaking to power? I mean, is this something that His Holiness will take into consideration about the state of the church in the Philippines? And then, Your Eminence, was the President in fact speaking the truth about the Philippine church?
Yes, for my part, the Pope is always very open to listen to what is said and takes very seriously all what is said and with respect. But obviously he has also to evaluate and to listen to people that can give him advice or more information and so on. And then the Pope personally has not a direct experience of the situation here in the Philippines, and then he listened to the bishops, to the priests, to the people that can give him opinions to have a general perspective. In any case, I think that the speech of the President, for me, that I am an external observer, was rather original, because not always there are such a speech during the formal ceremonies of reception of the Pope, but was also very interesting. And I did this consideration. Yes, you see what is the perspective of a politician and what is the perspective of the Pope. There are two different perspectives, because one is personally involved in a political process with many discussions. He has also a personal history that is very difficult. His father was killed. He was also object of an attack, his mother also. And then this is something that is that means in the life of a person. You are way to experience the history of your land, and also the relation of the church with this complex history, like the help to the Ethna revolution and so on. This is something that he has seen and experienced in first person. And obviously, he has a very intense participation and can say things that involve him personally very much. The Pope is at another level. Pope is at another level, and he has done a very strong and clear statement and speech that approaches, I think, practically all the problems that were touched by the president, but at a level more general but clear, with concrete words, that is intended to be the basis for the common good, and to find the common ways also for the politician to build the renovation, the renewal of a society. In this sense, it was for me a very interesting experience. The politician with his passion or with his concrete experience of suffering, of participation in discussion and so on, and the level of the Pope that knows in general the problems, but knows the principle and the orientation that he has to give to help all and the entire society to find a way toward a better and greater justice and not this scandalous inequality and not the corruption and so on. I found for me also a very important experience with great respect for both the interlocutors.
Thank you, Father Lombardi. My first appeal to all of you is while the speech of the President is important, I hope we will not lose our focus on the Pope, because the Pope will be here only for a few days while the President stays. And we can continue exploring his speech, even after the return of the Holy Father to the Vatican. Also, I think the best person to explain that speech is the President himself. I don't have a copy of the speech, but my impression is this. I think he was coming from, as Father Lombardi already said, from a deeply personal experience and also a deeply political experience. The personal experience that that shaped that type of interpretation of facts was his own suffering, during martial law, and his appreciation for the church, for the role of the church in during that time. But also there is the political dimension. Now that he is president, and the Filipinos can attest to this, in many of his speeches since becoming president, he always refers or has referred to the previous administration and how he has inherited some of the problems that the former administration was not able or refused to address. And so I hear a bit of that in the speech today. While the silence of some bishops was mentioned, I think it was still a commentary on the previous administration.
Okay, so before I get back to you, we'd like to shift back to the International Media Center because they may have some questions. Then we'll turn back to Diamond Hotel.
Thank you, Edwin. We have the first media practitioner to ask the question. Please come up to the microphone and identify yourself and the entity you represent. Yes, please.
Hello.
Yes, please. Go ahead.
Good evening to one and all.
Your name, please.
My name is Bernie Anabo of Metro National Daily News.
Thank you.
My question is addressed to Father Lombardi. A while ago, Pope Francis said everyone should dream a family. LGBT dreams to have a family. Correct me if I am wrong. Now, what is the exact standing of the church regarding same-sex marriage? And what pastoral attention can be given to that kind of union?
Thank you. Diamond Hotel, please take it away.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. Thank you.
Well, I think that it is well known that the perspective of the Church about the family is that the family is based on the union, on the marriage of a man and a woman. And the family is for us the union of the man and the woman and the children that come from this union. This is for us the family. Then if there are persons that desire to have a community in other ways that they can do, but this is not for us a family.
Thank you very much, Father
This
Lombardi.
gentleman was raising his hand earlier. Then I'll get back to you, Mello.
Yes, please.
Okay. Yes.
Good evening, Mark Zambrano from GMA News. My first question would be for Father Lombardi. Pardon me if this is kind of a trivial question, but it's been going around social media based on the observations of some of the people here in the Philippines when they noticed from the arrival of Pope Francis all the way to when he went to the presidential palace, there was an observation made by several netizens about the slight awkwardness and hesitation on the part of the Pope when it came to President Aquino's attempt to kiss his hand or shake his hand. Can you comment perspective-wise on protocol? Is there something on protocol regarding handshakes or the kissing of the hand of the Pope when it comes to these kinds of appearances? Because we all know this is also a state visit on the second hand. So can you comment on that, Father Lombardi?
I am not an expert of protocol, to be honest. And I think that the Pope also is not expert on this aspect of the protocol, and it is totally different to this. And what is the simple and normal way to approach the other, this is the way that he uses. I don't think that the Pope thinks about this, and I also. And then, in the sense, I am not able to answer your question. If someone gives me the hand, I give the hand, and I think the Pope does the same. And if you take the hand of the Pope and you try to kiss his hand, he has a certain resistance. Maybe you succeed, but this is not the most normal way in which the Pope desires to be greeted. I say sometimes for me it's spontaneous to ask the Pope to kiss his hand, because this is for me also a traditional devotion. But I say that is not, he prefer maybe to have a simple handshake. and I think that it is a normal way to be.
Okay, let's go back to the International Media Center. Do you
Thank
have
you.
another question over there?
Yes, thank you, Edwin. Yes, please identify yourself and the entity you come from.
I'm Teddy Lechadores of Metro Daily News. My question is addressed to Cardinal Tagle. Cardinal, now that the Holy Father has spoken against any forms of contraception, what will the Church do with the passage of birth control bill in Congress?
It's been enacted into law. Your Eminence, please.
Yes. Well, we will continue preaching what the church teaches. With or without the law, we continue our mission.
Okay. Who has the next question? Later, yes. Yes, sir. Yes.
Question for His Eminence. I'm Ignazio Ingrao, Panorama Magazine. You mentioned that the Pope reminded the attention of Paul VI to the particular case. The issue was the contraception, of course. But do you think that these criteria could be applied also for divorced, the remarried, in the perspective of the next synod?
Wait.
We have a synod.
We have a synod. I don't want to preempt the discussion of the synod. But at least from the synod that happened last October, and leading to the synod next October, I think last October we were given a wider picture of the various cases, particular contexts of marriage. And so the preparation for the next synod is already, in a way, mindful, already considerate about this complex particular situations that people find themselves in. And so the pastoral response to the different situations will definitely consider what is the teaching and then also the unique situation. So in that sense, I think it can be carried through to other concerns or other questions regarding the families.
Yes. Melo, do we have another question from the International Media Center?
Yes. All right. There's nobody. Edwin,
Okay,
will you
okay.
allow me to ask a question?
Brief.
Very
And if we
brief.
can't answer it, you'll have to answer it, Melo.
Well, I just saw the weather update. It says something about among. Will the Holy Father push through with his trip to Tacloban and Palo tomorrow? That is the question.
No, we are not informed that there are changes in the program. The program is the same. We will fly to Tacloban tomorrow with the Holy Father. This is what we preview in this moment. I have heard that the weather previews are not the best in the sense that maybe it rains, but it's not really a danger for us for the Pope to fly there, and the people in the Filipinos knows what the rain is and don't are afraid about this. I think in this sense our program for tomorrow is unchanged.
Thank you
Thank you
very
very much, Melo.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, who has another question? Someone was raising his hand earlier. Yes, sir. The one, yes. Go ahead.
John Allen, Crux on the Boston Globe. Father Lombardi, we heard today the Holy Father refer to the ideological colonization of the family. I'd like to know, did that in part, perhaps not the only element, but at least in part, was that a reference to gay marriage?
This is, I think, in part also, yes. Yes, I think there are maybe strong demographical, political measures, or also a vision, anthropological vision that comes in law that diminish the importance and the central place of the family in the society, I think, yes.
The gentleman in brown, yes. Can you please
Cardinal
hand over the
Radley also
microphone?
said-
Yes.
May I add
Excuse me,
something to
before your
John Allen's
yes.
question? In the Synod of Bishops last October, the Extraordinary Synod, there were some bishops and lay people, especially from Africa, who said that foreign help or foreign aid extended to them oftentimes is linked to some measures that the receiving country is somehow forced to accept. And some of those conditions for the aid seem to be an acceptance or a welcoming of some views regarding marriage or sexuality or what, which could be alien to the vision of the receiving country or culture.
Yes, over here, I'm Sébastien Maillard from the French daily La Croix. My question is for His Eminence. This morning, in his homily, the Pope Francis warned against the, I quote, the great danger of a certain materialism.
Yes.
And he was speaking to the priest and
Yes.
to consecrated persons. Do you take this as a harsh criticism, and how do you understand it? How do you accept it, and what you plan to do?
Yes. I don't take it as a harsh criticism. Pope Francis is not the first pope to remind church leaders of the temptation of materialism. In fact, even in the Bible, that is one of the temptations that Jesus himself experienced, the promise of getting all the kingdoms of this world, etc. And so it is. It has existed as a temptation, and it is good to be warned, especially in a country like the Philippines and in other developing countries. You must have noticed that people in the Philippines love their priests, and because of that love for priests and the religious, they're very generous to us. And if we are not careful, that might become already a motivation for my ministry. It's not just ministry, but just what can I get in return? And it's a good reminder to us.
Do we still have time for 2 more questions? Okay.
Edwin,
Any other question from
Edwin,
the floor?
Let me just check if we
Okay, I
still
think
have
there's
one
none.
more from...
So,
yes,
any
please.
closing statement, Your Eminence?
Edwin.
Thank you. And enjoy your dinner. And see you in Tacloban.
See you all in Tacloban. It's been a re-energizing day. We were all moved today, and so have a blessed evening. See you all tomorrow. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.